You guys might remember last spring we redid these beautiful window boxes, and we put impatiens and we put wax begonias. Well, they're tender annuals and there's no way that they're going to make it through the winter. So they're kind of dead looking. And what I'd like to do today, which is the end of February, is I'd like to put in some impatiens in here. This is a view from my kitchen and we look out this window all the time. So having all this dead stuff in here is not very nice. But the really great thing is, it's the end of February in Southern California. Now that means we can start putting out cool weather type of plants like impatiens and snapdragons, begonias, poppies, things like that. And the other thing I'm going to try to do here, and this is just an experiment, we're going to put a clematis right here. It's one that I propagated from an original clematis that I have on the other side of the property. And we're going to see how that goes. Hi, I'm Sonia with Suburban Gardening, and I know some of you are still knee-deep in snow, but you're going to be doing this in a few weeks, so I think it's a great time to get ready. I'm going to be putting in all these beautiful annuals right here. I'll probably switch them up in June, maybe put in some different kind of color. And the reason why I would do that is because right now the sun is a little bit low and the house is making a lot of shade right here. But around June, the sun is higher in the sky, and this area will get morning sun. So that'll completely change what I put into this box. The first thing that I need to do, though, is I need to get all of these dead plants out of here, and I need to put some fertilizer in. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and then we'll talk about the fertilizer and what kind of plants I'm putting in. These poor little guys didn't make it through the winter. I'm pretty sure, these are begonias right here. I'm pretty sure that if I trimmed them up and I tried to get them to come back to life, I probably could, but I really don't want to go through all that trouble. They might not even come back very pretty. So I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to dig all those out of there, and we are going to start fresh. Okay, I got all those dead plants out of there. I was really surprised at how big the root ball was on those wax begonias. It was huge. So those were some pretty healthy plants. Now last spring when we got these window boxes, my husband built them, we put in brand new soil, and I actually splurged and put in the really, really good organic soil because I don't like switching out my soil all the time. It's expensive. So I like to try to keep it amended. Now what I'm going to put in here is a very, very small amount of Miracle-Gro. I don't use Miracle-Gro a lot, but in this application, I know that this soil has been used quite a bit, it's spent, and I want to give immediate food to the plants I'm going to be putting in there right now. This is my favorite, and this is a time release. I'll put this on the link below so you guys can get a hold of it if you'd like, but I use this in all of my baskets and my raised beds and things like that. This will give time release fertilizer over the entire season, and those plants will get food right exactly when they need it. So this thing is like a little dream. Then I don't have to worry about running out here and feeding these guys all the time. And the other thing I like to put in are worm castings, and I just like to do that. Now, I know this may or may not be true, but it seems to me like every time I use worm castings, the next thing I know, I have a bunch of worms. I don't know. Anyways, I'm going to take a few minutes and amend this soil because that in the long run is going to really cut my load, my workload down and make these flowers look absolutely beautiful. I'm going to start with the worm castings. There's absolutely no particular order you should do this in. Just take a nice big handful of them and just sprinkle them down in here. As I'm planting the plants today, this is going to get all mixed up in here, and I won't need to be doing too much mixing. I keep my Miracle-Gro in a separate container because it's just easier for me. Now, I am not going to put a lot. This is just to get them started, just a little sprinkle. This will give them immediate food. This is water-soluble Miracle-Gro, and it'll just dissolve in there, and the roots will be able to take it up right away. Now, with these, I want to dig them in a little bit. So I'm going to make a trench, and then I'm going to drop them down in the trench. I would just like these to be very deep inside the soil. When those roots are ready, they're going to want some of this. And this comes with the cutest little spoon. So I'm just going to sprinkle it in there. And I know me, I'm going to be adding plants to this as the seasons go along. So I want to make sure these plants have plenty of food. And if I come through here and I put in, like maybe drop in some pansies, I can always put in a few more granules of the time-release fertilizer. Great. Now time for planting. At the moment, I only have one cyclamen plant. And the reason why is because I couldn't find this color. They'll have it again. So I'm just going to put this one here, and then I'm going to save a place for another one to drop down right over here. Oh boy, look at the roots on that. This is one very healthy little cyclamen. It's going to take up a lot of space. I'm just going to dig a big hole. Get her down in there. Oh gosh, look at that. Already, it just looks gorgeous. You sweet thing. Now, I don't think this cyclamen will get much larger, you know, in the diameter. I think it will get a little bit bigger, a little taller. But regardless, whichever way it decides to grow, I'm going to love it. Now let's pop in some of these impatiens. I have white and I have pink, and I like to spread them out so it's kind of a little bit of each. So the best way to get them out of the 6-packs is just to punch your finger through the bottom. See how it just lifted up out of there? That way there's no trauma. There we go. I'm just going to spread these around. There's no rhyme or reason. I also wanted to put in a few pink. Look at the color on that. Oh, hello. I don't want to get these too close together. I think I'm going to put white and white and then pink. I buy a lot of my 6-packs at Armstrong Nursery or Glendora Gardens because they are so much healthier than some of the ones you get at the big box stores. I've been a little bit disappointed. If you can see the size of the 6-pack, this is a very generous size for this little plant. That means those roots are going to be healthier. The ones that they're getting now at the box stores are half this size. I just don't know. I just think that plants struggle too much in those small little containers. This is the clematis that I'm going to put right here. I propagated this from our other clematis, and I'm going to be very careful. I know that the roots on this clematis aren't going to be too big. So I'm going to just be extra careful with him because I don't want to break him. Oh yeah, see, there's no roots at all. I know the roots are down in there. They're just not up towards the surface. So I'm just going to get him in here. I'll probably end up digging it out later. I want to see how he does over here. All right, extra careful. There we go. And I want to make sure that he's at the top so that he doesn't get drowned. He's too deep in the soil. There we go. All right. Now I just dig a hole and put the rest in. You can mess up the roots if you want to, but it's not necessary on these impatiens, I don't think. Oh my gosh, this is so much nicer than it was just a few minutes ago. The last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to punch some of these nasturtium seeds down inside the soil. Now these guys get pretty big, and I expect they will grow all the way down to the ground and make just an explosion of orange flowers. I harvested these last year from my other nasturtiums that I have in my rose bed. These were extremely tough, and I don't want to call them aggressive, but they were very hardy, and they lasted all the way into November, and they were beautiful. So I am excited to be punching this all around the garden. All you have to do is just take them out, push them down into the ground. Super easy. Now, one other thing is, I know that I'm putting a lot in this box. It doesn't look like it, But when everything starts to grow, there's going to be a lot going on in here. Remember, you can always take things out and plant it in another pot or put it in your raised bed or something like that, or just keep feeding it and they'll keep growing. I'll go ahead and put 2 because you never know if one's not going to come up or not. All you need to do is just drop them in there and then push them down about half an inch. These are big seeds. They can handle quite a bit. It'll be so exciting to see these start coming up. Once you get these beautiful plants all tucked away and fed, always remember to give them a little bit of water. We need to water them in to settle the soil and get that fertilizer to start doing its job. And it's also a good time to kind of clean up a little bit. I know they look very puny right now, but give these guys about 4 weeks and they are going to be big, bushy, impatient plants looking so pretty. The other nice thing is that they're tucked up against the house right here, so even if we do get some chilly weather, they'll be by the warmth of the house and they'll be okay. Well, I absolutely love them. They look great. I know you guys know this already, but I just wanted to remind everybody, and maybe we have some new gardeners joining us. So when you put these in the ground, it's so important that you don't cover the base of this plant. Put them in the ground right up to the level of the dirt that they're already growing out of. If you put the dirt up a little higher, it could start to suffocate the plant. Now, there are some plants that don't mind that, like tomatoes love it, and they'll start to grow roots. But just be cautious. And just put the dirt right up here to where it already is when you pull it out of the little 6-pack. You guys, that was such a fun project. I mean, how simple was that? We just pulled out some plants and put in some new. Always remember to do the fertilizer because that is such a big deal. It'll save you so much time in the long run. And I had a blast coming out here. Now, we are going to be getting rain in 2 days. So I wanted to get out here and get some color. So when I'm sitting outside looking at the rain, I can see these beautiful plants. It was so great being out in the garden with you guys. Thanks so much for stopping by, and I'll see you real soon.